You are now listening to the Fierce Kingz podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is episode 11. If you didn't know, my name is Paul. I'm with the one and only Stu Fierce, and you are now listening to the Fierce Kingz podcast. Stu, what it do, baby?
It's good to see you, buddy. It's good to hear you.
I
mean, I can't touch you or I can't smell you because you're, across the
You can
across
see
the
me.
internet. But it feels good. Honestly, we're pushed because we had some, life issues happening. But it's good to get back on it because honestly, man, that Wednesday session means a lot.
Yeah, it's something to look forward to. You know what I mean? And I was actually going to tell you like I missed you this week. Like we didn't even text that much. And I could tell it was those instances where like when I did text you and you probably text back, we're probably taking a dump.
Yeah.
You're sitting down on the throne and you're like, I'm going to catch up real quick with Paul. And then I got to get back to the freaking rat race,
And then it was like all of which were some form of complaint. Right? Like, oh, can't believe this shit, Because that was that type of week.
Yeah.
It was just such a slam week. But I want to bring up something right quick. So, as we both did, a nice 60-day stint of, no alcohol or any nefarious, illicit activities or anything like that.
Sure.
And, working out. I was working out pretty much almost 6 days a week, pretty solid.
Yeah.
Had a couple chances to get up north and play some hockey on the pond up at my cottage and stuff like that.
Sick.
And basically now, it would have been, a couple weeks, not every day on the sauce or anything like that, but, on the weekends or whatever. And I just noticed that basically it took 2 months to like get kind of in shape. I was feeling like, oh man, like I lost a few pounds. I'm feeling pretty good, feeling strong. And all it takes is like 3 drinking sessions to feel like a fat piece of shit again, eh?
Oh yeah. Well, in 2 months, you lose 20 pounds, you build a little bit of muscle, you get your confidence up, you're eating right. Then you go to Pound Town, sauce-wise, and then you wake up and you're like, did I just throw away 60 days? And you kind of did, right? And you're looking in the mirror and you're flubby again after, a couple more beers. And it just asks you, should you just toss the liquor, man? Is it time to just give it up and take on yoga?
Yeah,
that's what they do in LA, right? They're like, listen, you'll go to rehab. Let's do 60 days of rehab, and now you're addicted to yoga.
Well, but then on the opposite end too, you're sort of saying like, well, maybe I'm just a fat guy now who drinks. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of like, well, if I'm going to work all that hard and eating fucking lettuce for every meal and boiled chicken and working out 2 hours a day and, trying to get, 6 hours of good sleep or this and that and the other for just one drink that throws it all away. You're like, no, then trying all that shit is not even worth it.
I know.
Like all that hard work for basically nothing.
It's insane. Getting in shape might be one of like the most, like if you can do it and pull it off from going from shit to fit.
Yeah.
Honestly, congratulations, man. Honestly, because it's tough. It's really tough. Not to mention if you're counting calories. So like I was counting calories somewhat loosely, but to the point where you're like, holy shit, it's 8 p.m. I got 60 calories left. Right. And you open the fridge and you're like, all right, I'll take 2 grapes, half almond, a fucking 2 ounces of milk. And then you're like, fuck, I'm over 5 calories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you go to bed, you're like, did I fuck it all up today?
Yeah. And then there's just like this huge like level of guilt. Like that's
the worst part.
Yeah. They want you to feel like that. Like they're like, you go in there and you're like, oh man, I'm starving. And excuse me, when you're kind of going from different, obviously different calorie amounts, right? Like you probably were going at like 2,500 a day or something, right? Like just normally, if you're having a couple beers, you're having order a pizza sometimes or this and that, just like the general sort of diet being like that. And then you're trying to sink it down to like, I don't know, 1,700 or something like that. And then, because like they'll tell you, okay, if you get to this per day, you'll lose that X amount a week or whatever sort of thing. And so then you've done this drastic change. And then when you go there and you're just dying and you're like, yeah, I just want a fucking grape. And the second you grab that grape, there's like a little face on it that's going, don't do it. You know this is bad for you, right?
Don't eat me.
And so that's what they're trying to like instill in your head, that it's like this constant state of fear.
Honestly, you're right. Like, my mom, she's going to be 70 this year, obviously. And then, and she's been on a diet and she's been doing a really great job. And obviously, she's much older than us, of course, and that obviously make things much more difficult. But I see the guilt in her eyes. She'll look at a cookie sometimes and she's like, I need to work out. You know what I mean? And it is tough, man. Like the guilt is insane. It's not a motivator at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I mean, maybe like for some people it is. Like maybe it's just a certain personality trait.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Where I think potentially for guys like us, like we're a little bit more like, fuck it, throw your hands up type shit, right? Where it's like, you want me to feel bad? I ain't feeling bad. I'm going to have that fucking grape. And I'm going to enjoy it and savor every drop of its juices, I'm
going to eat this grape and all your other fucking grape buddies too. And then do a quick fucking 10-minute sprint on the old, treadmill and call it a fucking night.
You are now listening to the Fierce Kingz podcast.
Okay, awesome. So check it out. So I was at work the other day and there's a new team member, right? And so they've been onboarding for a couple weeks now. So, after a couple of weeks, after a month, you can kind of suss out like, all right, this guy or girl is going to be awesome at their job, or like there's a lot of potential here or not. And it's just not working out. Like I only have problems and I'm like, this person I don't think is actually qualified for this role. Right? Like that's what I'm thinking. And then I learn, of course, that this person is now someone's nephew at the organization. Right?
Classic.
And that's okay. But I wanted to ask you just real quick, like, do you fuck with nepotism in general?
I mean, I do. Obviously, like, here's the thing with nepotism is that it's when you're on the opposite side of it, it's terrible. Because you're like, this dude, this nephew, this niece, whoever, cousin is getting a free ride. But when you're on the side of it, it's great. Yeah. You're like, I don't have to do fuck all, and I've got the whole path just cleared for me. And so if I'm in a position to offer that to somebody, with my children, if there is a potential to do it, holy shit, I'm doing it. I'm doing it for sure.
Now, hold on. So here's a scenario, okay? You got a bunch of kids now. They're getting to that point where maybe they're 15, 16, 17. They're trying to figure it out, university starting, first job, or maybe they're just out of university, right? Would you hook them up if you knew deep down that they're not prepared for like that role or even not qualified for that role, but you're helping them get in the door? Do you see where I'm going with this?
No. I see where you're going for sure. I would. That's a tricky question because I would like to assume that I equipped my offspring with all of the necessary tools to be able to handle it, right? But I guess if you had a lemon and you're just like, there's that dumb son or whatever, that stay-at-home son that you're trying to pass on and let him do his thing, and you just knew deep down inside that this guy's a fucking idiot. No, then I would be like, you're gonna be shoveling shit or in the mailroom or whatever, and I'll sneakily pay you over price or something. But if I knew that I had a big like client or something and he wasn't capable, then I'd have to be like, no. Because then it's my reputation, right?
You've obviously seen Billy Madison, and I'm sure in life there's many Billy Madison moments where there's like this amazing, smart, people that have been working at an organization for, let's say, a decade, working hard for those senior positions. And they're like, hey, this is Rudy. He's my son. He's going to be CEO now. And everyone's like, what the fuck, man? You know what I mean? And then Rudy there is in the office. He's in the, in the suite in the corner office, and he's got like he's putting, on the ground, and like, we need you to make some decisions here. He's like, look, I'm the CEO. All right. I'm not supposed to do shit.
Yeah. Like, what do you want from me, man?
Yeah. Like I'm busy. Can't you see I'm busy? Fuck.
No, exactly. And I think that's like, I guess most heirs or heiresses or whatever, right, are like that. As you can see with so many of these different people, that they're like, they've just had it so good that they're just like, yeah, daddy's going to hook me up, whatever I need. So I'm just going to fuck around.
Now it got me thinking now, because, there's been that huge interview with like Meghan Markle and the Prince Harry and all that stuff in the news. Must have been really frustrating back in the day when you were like part of the royal family and you're passing off the crown to your son or the queen's going to be, and you're just like, fucking hell, these guys can't rule this kingdom, man. And they're taking this away from me. It must have been frustrating. I think that's why kings got assassinated. They're like, this isn't anything personal. Just like, you're not fit to rule, bud.
Well, that was like, that goes back to an old episode. I think like 2 or 3 about talking about Gladiator.
Right.
That was what happened, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was like, yo, Maximus is going to take over because this guy's a fucking bum. And then he's like, pillowed him.
He pillowed him.
Or strangled him or something, or whatever, I forget. Yeah. But I think it was one of those things, and not to get too like deep in or political or anything like that about that whole interview, but like, if I were the royal family, and definitely, I mean, even though like his old man, Prince Charles or whatever, I'd be like, you ungrateful little prick. You know what I mean? It's like, not to say you can't have your own opinions in your own life, and he's got his own family with Meghan and the whole thing. Sure. And again, not to get too deep into all that, but it's just like, I'd be like, you for real you were the kid, the prince. You were a prince. I gave you princeship, and you're just going to go and slander me on Oprah?
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
Oprah's a powerful person, man. Like, I bet you the queen was watching that interview and she's like, damn, they got Oprah to do the interview?
Yeah, for sure.
And like, even the queen was just like, touche. Like, I'm like,
maybe
they tuned in.
Say that.
Yeah, maybe I did say that. Did I say that? I was joking. You know what I mean?
I can't believe it. I must have said that.
Yeah. I'm confused.
Okay, but here's an interesting thing. Yeah. And obviously not in the context of like the British monarchy and how they oversee so many different countries, obviously in the Commonwealth. But could we safely say Oprah has more power than the Queen in the world? Because I think so.
Okay, well, this is what I learned. Check this out. It's COVID. We're watching TV. I watched it with my wife, so I'm just going to put that out there. It was on. It was on at a prime time hour, and we just said we're going for it. Okay. Word on the street is that wasn't even Oprah's crib, man. Tyler Perry. Okay, Tyler Perry's got some massive crib. He's just like, oh, why don't you come stay at my place? I'm out shooting a movie. This guy's got mad power. He's neighbors with Oprah and Meghan Markle and the Prince, and it just got me thinking, like, yeah, forget the royal family. Hollywood's got all the power. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And like, I've never seen a Tyler Perry movie, and I bet you they're not that good, but it doesn't matter because he figured out how to get that cash. And when you get the cash, you get the power.
I have seen a lot of Tyler Perry movies, and I enjoy them. I used to watch a lot of those shows because on what was it called, Peachtree TV, which was like based out of Atlanta. So they had a lot of those shows. And like Medina's and all that. And honestly, I watched that shit and I'd die. I mean, it was stupid.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, he figured out this kind of weird niche thing, And
that was a power move to do that. That was a power move.
Big time. I wonder if that was a sort of a strategic play from himself as well. It's because like they were like, because like they moved to Vancouver or something for a bit, right? They were like, we're going to come to Canada and we're going to still do our duties or whatever, because obviously we're still under technically British rule, right? Like as Canada. And then clearly that was just a fucking ploy to be like, let's get over to the West Coast and then we're headed down to Hollywood and see what we can figure out, right? And so then when they were saying like they were like stranded for a place or whatever, I wonder if Tyler Perry was like,
you got the crew together, you know, they're like, yo, should we, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then they were like, yo, you let them in. They're probably making moves. And then lo and behold, Harry's got some show with Oprah. They signed some like $100 million deal with like HBO Max for some series.
I bet you that's going to happen. I bet you that's going to happen.
And then they're going to make him an executive producer on it. Boom, 50 million.
Yeah, voiced over by Oprah. Done.
Yeah.
So,
done.
I mean, I guess forget nepotism or working with your dad or mom who's, you know, in a high place. Get on Tyler Perry's good books. You're set.
And you're sorted out.
Got a question for you. So I don't know if you've been on Twitter in the last, let's call it 2-3 weeks or something like that. And it's not even just on Twitter, but with the rise of cryptocurrency and all this blockchain technology and all this crap, you heard of like NFTs or non-fungible tokens?
So I've like heard of them a bit and had a very brief background, but you might have to go a little bit more in depth because it's pretty limited knowledge.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go into it because I'm probably not smart enough to really describe it. But right now, like a non-fungible token is a digital file who has like a unique identity. Okay. And so for that technology is being put into like the art world, right? So people are creating like digital art. And so for example, like someone could create a meme and you could like own that meme now. And it's like yours. And while, you know, you can go on the internet, kind of like the Mona Lisa, right? Like you and I can Google the Mona Lisa and see the Mona Lisa and download a JPEG of the Mona Lisa, but someone could actually own the digital format of that Mona Lisa, have their name tied to it, and sell it for millions of dollars. So what's happening is there's this huge digital artwork marketplace, and probably just rich ass idiots who have nothing better to do with their millions of dollars are buying like LeBron James dunks videos, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if one day in the future, like instead of an art gallery, you'll have like picture frames with basically a plasma TV and it's showing some digital artwork. And it's like kind of cool. Like it's kind of like what the future is going in, like those really futuristic movies and shit like that. But it sounds like it's getting a little bit out of hand.
But the thing for me that what I'm really having a tough time wrapping my head around, and maybe this is something you can sort of explain, but it's like you can still, you as the non-owner can still get it, right? Like we can Google the Mona Lisa, but you have to be the Louvre to own it and look at it up close, right? Where it's like if someone owns this LeBron James dunk, like I can still just YouTube it and watch it.
So you could watch it, but like, you know how like YouTube, like let's say you took that clip and then made your own video using that clip and then uploaded it to YouTube. YouTube be like, bruh, copyright infringement, right? Of sorts, because that's owned by, I don't know, ESPN. I'm just making it up.
Right.
They would flip it and be like, Stu owns this, and that's why you're under copyright infringement. And now it's like you're a property owner. Now, again, not educated enough to comment on your question really, but it just got me thinking like in 5-10 years, is there like what if like my nudes leaked? Could I sell them on some NFT market and someone can own my dick pic?
Yeah.
And then isn't my dick anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the true question. Whose dick is it? Yeah. Because you're just like,
yo, that's my dick. No. It's my dick.
It's our dick. It's like you got cat dicked. catfish dick.
Catfish
Like
dicks.
so like they're doing all that shit online or whatever and sending dick pics, and the next thing you know, you get a call from fucking your wife
dick
or whatever. No, you get a call from your wife or whatever. So she's like, I don't really know what you've been doing around town, and you're like, I swear to God, that was just some NFT that this guy is now saying is his dick, but it's not.
It's not his dick, but he owns the rights to my dick pic. Which is crazy now that I think about it. Maybe like porn stars are going to start getting in this business, right? Some like exclusive scene.
They'd be dumb if they didn't.
Yeah, this is how you make the real cash. Like someone, like imagine a porn star, let's call it back in the 90s and early 2000s. Who's the most famous porn star from that era? Even the girls will know this.
Jenna Jameson.
Okay, so Jenna Jameson should be like, yo, my first scene, 10-second clip, 60 million.
Yeah. And you know you'll have some pervert who buy it too.
Oh, there's already a guy that probably has like a secret basement with all of her, like her sex dolls and all this stuff.
For
and
sure,
then Friday night
sure.
it hits 5 o'clock, you know, he gets the Vaseline ready. And he's like, Jenna, my love, you know?
Yeah. He's just he got the Jergens going and he's just fucking ready to go. But no, so I guess, I mean, that's a broader question of like ownership of shit, right? Where you're like, so who really owns what?
Yeah.
Right? Like, cause like I thought in a way, cause especially if you were say if you were in the adult film business, whatever, you know, Horsecock Productions or something must own that scene, right? Yeah. But then all of a sudden they're selling it off and some perv in Beverly Hills is now owns 7 minutes of that scene.
Yeah.
Like I just, that's the shit that I don't understand. And not to mention the way you're like, buddy, don't you have the internet? Just like fucking Google it, man. Like,
I know, but it's just like, and I think we talked about this in the past. It's just like, especially when you're really, really fucking rich, you just want to be the one that has the thing, right? So like, they're like, I spent 65 million on it, but I'm the one that has that one of one painting. You know what I mean? And so I think it's just like fucking basketball cards or Star Wars cards. You know what I mean? You want to be like, there's people out there that they don't care what the price is. They're the ones with the fucking Darth Vader and they put it in the sleeve and it's framed. Right. It's like those people with the action figures. So now they're like, I'll spend all this money on a fucking 3-second GIF.
So this is deviating slightly, but do you think then some people just have entirely too much money? Like if you've got 60 mil to drop on a vintage facial, you've got way too much fucking money.
Absolutely 100% with you on that one. Like how, like, could you imagine the disappointment in learning that your son, the CEO of your corporation that you built, is spending all the profits
on pornography,
on
or whatever. Even if it was fucking a LeBron James dunk, you'd be like,
but that dunk though, Dad. And he's just like, true.
Yeah. And then he sees the dunk and he's like, wow.
Was he MVP that year? Yeah.
But no, for real, it's just like that. Clearly, these people have more money than God, and they just want to blow it. And this is not trying to get all anarcho, anti-elite sort of thing in a way, but it's just like we got so many other problems going on in the world, and you're like, I'm going to spend fucking 30 mil on a LeBron James dunk, where you're like, just give that to small businesses or something. Do a fucking COVID relief for businesses fund. You know what I mean? It's just like, holy shit, man. Like, where's that sense of community or something in a way? But these people just have so much fucking goddamn money.
That's why they're the only ones that are actually like in this marketplace right now. So I think what's happening is like, smaller artists and people are like trying to figure out, they're like, I'm going to get rich like this. And I don't think that's the case, right? Like if you and I, you know what we should do? Honestly, you and I'm not even joking. We should create a fucking Fierce Kingz NFT. And listen, if someone purchases it for $13 to $15 million, okay, that's fine with me.
Right. So then in which case are you asking yourself, is this going to be a Fierce Kingz NFT utilizing sort of audio or memes, or is it strictly dick pics? And then in which case, what if you get a low bid on a dick pic?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you
Does
be
that mean
bummed?
you have a
You'd be
whack
like,
dick?
damn, my dick's not that good.
Yeah. And it might not even be like, oh, it's too big or it's too small. It's just, it's not for me, man. It's not worth my 60 mil. I'm looking for a real great cock.
That's a 2.5 mil dick.
Yeah. That's a common. I'm looking for a legendary.
Yeah. If I'm going to own a dick pic, I need some girth. I need some good tonality.
Oh, yeah.
Right amount of veins.
Yeah.
Like we're talking just the whole, it has to be the Mona Lisa of dick.
Yeah, if it's going in the middle of my dining room for in my dynasty, it's got to be a tremendous dick. With that, man, let's get into the would you rather. Hit it.
Would you rather? Would you rather?
All right, man. Would you rather? So I think I have a pretty good one, and just a heads up to everybody listening. I don't want to offend anyone. It's just I was thinking about it all week, and so I'm gonna hit everybody with it. So check it out.
Okay.
Would you rather work manual labor for your whole life, or be a grade 9 high school teacher until the day you die?
Manual labor. Like that is a simple question for me because honestly, and this day and age now more than ever, kids are fucking pieces of shit. I was a piece of shit in high school, and to teach me, no way. You couldn't have paid me enough money to be my fucking teacher. So I can only sympathize with those people a lot or more now than ever. And I mean, kudos to them. I think teachers are important, the whole nine, whatever. But I'm just like, damn, I don't know if you could pay me how much money you'd have to pay.
You know
me
what?
to be a teacher.
They're underpaid. You got to give kudos to teachers for the ones that really have a full career, 20, 30, 40 years stint being a grade 9 high school teacher. Like, you are tough as fucking nails, man.
For sure.
Honestly.
For sure.
Now, just to double check on the manual labor, like manual labor is really, really fucking tough.
It's super grueling.
So when I'm talking about manual labor, let's talk about like the worst type, like not like manual labor, like, oh, I'm building a house. I'm talking about like you wake up at 6 a.m., you get picked up by a crew of jabronis or whatever, just like a bunch of hilarious cats, and you're moving rocks from one side of a place and then to another all day for your whole life. You wake up, you're a rock mover, and and possibly you get underpaid.
Yeah, well, you're definitely underpaid, but it's like, yeah, that's a good point. I think I'd still go for that though. Like, I mean, I actually did work as a mover for a little bit when we were living out in Montreal, and it was super grueling, especially over there with like moving stuff up and down those windy staircases and this and that. But I think more to the point where it's just like, as a rock mover, I guess you at least kind of know what you're going into. Those rocks are going to be the same, and the rocks are going to do what they do, and you move them from one place to another. Where every year as a high school teacher is a new group of fuckheads that you just like, you want to strangle, and you can't because like the way that society works now, right?
Yeah, remember when
where
teachers
it's not
used
like
to
back
beat
in the
kids?
old days.
Yeah.
Oh, my dad would tell me because he was, growing up in 1950s Australia, which was basically like, I don't know, like the 1800s or something. It seems like it's so backwards. But yeah, he said that the teachers would just cold cock kids. Like if the kids was out of line, and just walk over to them and deck them in the face. Straight up. Like he's like, I remember this, one of his students, Timmy, I won't use his full name, even though that doesn't really matter, but Timmy, and he had a runny nose, and then the teacher just went over there and punched him out.
She's like, stop. He was just like, just stop having that runny nose. I can't. It's my body. It's like lakes.
He was like, I can't control that.
Yeah, I got a runny nose.
So, I mean, you know what? Okay, so here's a caveat, actually.
Sure.
If you were allowed to physically assault kids, then I'd probably take the teaching job.
Okay, well,
Like, cause how good would it be if there was a little shit like we were in grade 9 that was being a smart aleck and you just went over there and punched his lights out?
he never did it again. now, you know what must be, and like for all the teachers listening, and by the way, there's a lot of teachers in my family, in my extended family.
Oh, I come from a family of teachers. All
Huge
teachers.
respect. Teaching is a very, very admirable job, very difficult job, and like I said, 100% underpaid for sure, and probably one of the most important jobs out there because you're teaching the future of these kids. Just sometimes they won't let you. You know what I mean? But like, here's a question. Mm-hmm. It must be so annoying for a teacher to, like, you were a shithead, right? Mm-hmm. Imagine the cycle continues, right? You have a brother coming into grade 9 and now you're in grade 12. So you've passed and they're like, uh-oh, this is that fucking guy's younger brother. Oh, yeah. It's a big problem because that younger brother might be an angel. But they're being judged the second when they saw the roster. When they saw the roster, they're like, oh, that's a whatever. They're like, I'm gonna give this guy a hard time, and it's all because of it's that family. I'm dealing with that family. Oh, they might know your whole family.
And I had that because I was 3 years younger than my older brother, and they were like, they knew right off the hip hop. They're like, oh, that's Mr. You know what? His younger brother. They knew it was trouble. So then, and I ended up being a self-fulfilling prophecy anyway, because I was trouble. Yeah. But so they were right. And so they had the nerve, they should have been able to punch my lights out. But at the end of the day, they couldn't. So you just end up being a fucking, just a pest.
Yeah. Well, I was in grade 9, grade 9 band. All right. And I was playing the drums, and the drums was different to folks because it was actually called percussion. But we never really did percussion, right? It was like someone needed to be on a drum kit and there's like a bass drum that you hit. So because
you guys never like Phil Collins did, right? Like you never got behind the fucking things. You just had those big like cymbals and things like that. It wasn't like you were like playing the drums. You were like,
it was drummer boy, something drummer boy, right? Whatever. And so our music was different from the other music, but they would still lump us into the other tests that had like notes. So I'd go up to the test. I'm like, what the fuck is this EBCG? All this shit. Oh yeah, and I'm fucked. Yeah. All for us, the notes are like. You would read how fast to hit it. So I'd be like, I'm like, I'm killing this. You know what I mean? While they have that plus different notes, it's really hectic. So what turned out is I actually I was failing grade 9 band. I was like on the verge of failing, and I'll never forget this. I won't mention her name, but we were in class one day, and that previous weekend, my sister, who went to the same high school, and just like your brother, I guess, much older. She was in their old yearbook, right? And so I was going through these yearbooks, and she comes in like she usually does into the band plays a couple minutes late, and she's like, "How was your weekend?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, "Good, good." I'm like, "Hey, miss, you know what? I saw you in a yearbook from '84." She's like, "Oh yeah?"
Right.
I'm like, "Yeah. You had short hair, that real '80s look." She's like, "Yeah." Oh yeah. I also wasn't fat. Eh? Look at me. I'm just this short-haired, fat woman teaching band. And she stormed off, and we never saw her again. And this is like 9:05 a.m., first class, grade 9 band. I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong here, but that's when I knew.
You were making an observation.
And that's when I knew, and this is exactly what we're talking about. She was fucking done. She was done. She's seen it all before. She's like, fuck these kids. I have 3 more years until I can retire and get my full pension. If I could, I'd spray the whole place up.
Oh yeah, guaranteed. I bet a lot of those people think about that on the daily, and it's just like, yeah, for whatever reason, they got this woman got in there, she saw you guys, and it was just like, you know what, this fucking punk told me about my short hair. And that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, and it wasn't even anything really, right? No. But it was just like, but she was just like, for whatever reason, it was that type of day. And you go in there seeing these asshole kids, and they just want to make some sort of fucking observation. And you're like, you know what?
Call me fat.
I'm out. I'm out. Yeah, I'm out.
And also, and I'm going to bleep it out, but fuck you. fuck you, because when she stormed out of there, you should have seen this guy fucking grilled me so badly. He was in the first row with his friggin' clarinet, looking at me, shaking his head like I just caused this woman all the turmoil of her life. Fuck you, man. All right, man.
That was solid.
That was solid. But listen, let's get into the You Rotted. I think you're going to like this. All right, folks, welcome to You Rotted. You Rotted is the segment where you guys can phone in, email us at fiercekingz@gmail.com and tell us stories of times where you have rotted. You could also do that on Twitter, hit us up on Instagram, and of course, leave a comment on YouTube. So don't be shy and let us know how you fucked up, really. And we love it, and we'll put it on the show. All right, Stu. So typically we tell other people's stories, which is fantastic. It's what we encourage. But I had this reminder of this story that actually happened to myself. And I think you're going to like it because it's like I rotted, but a few people rotted as well. And I really want to decipher it. So I'm just going to take it from the top and just hear me out. So it was a summer. Okay. I was hanging out with my sister. My parents were away on vacation. So it was kind of like a night out, if you would, staying in. And we had the hankering for this food. And this food was like pizza and wings, but like really, really dope. And they didn't deliver anything like that, so I had to go
Where was it? Domino's Pizza?
No. It's actually an Irish bar called the Poorhouse.
Oh, Poorhouse,
DuPont and Spadina. I don't know if they're still splashy with it right now, but I'm assuming probably. And so I go and order, and I'm going to pick it up, man. I'm going to pick it up. So then I pick it up, smells nice, and this is in my 94 Mercury Sable station wagon. Mm-hmm. So it's like on its last legs, but like we're holding on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Bright green, too. I called it the sable-toothed tiger.
Yeah.
It was a Mercury Sable.
It's still in my head.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm driving back, and you ever drive when it just started to lightly rain? Mm-hmm. Very light. It like leaves a coat on the road. Anyways, I'm driving back, and this person in front of me in their car is doing like that start and stop type of deal. They're going really fast and slowing down really fast. And so I looked away for 1 second, just 1 second, and that person stopped. I had to swerve out of the way because it lightly rained. I fucked up and I crashed. I crashed into that person. Okay. My car turned into an accordion because it's such an old fucking shitbox. Right. And this woman comes out, and she's almost wearing nothing, and she just runs out screaming, and she's saying, "Oh my God, my car looks so ghetto." You know what I mean? And then she's like, "I'm gonna be fucking late for work. I can't believe this happened to me." You know what I mean? And I'm like, "What's going on here?" She's like, "I'm gonna be late for work." I'm like, "Where do you work?" And she said, "Club Paradise." And if folks don't know, that's a stripper. So she's on her way to hit that pole. Anyways,
right.
We both get towed, and what happens is basically I got $1 for the car because it got scrapped, okay, because it got completely totaled, completely wrecked, okay. She rolls in because she has to, claim the accident, and she comes in with her boyfriend, right? And I go to her, I'm like, "Oh, so you're not going to work?" And he was so embarrassed, man. He's like, and I heard him, he's like, "You told him where you worked?"
Right.
Okay, and then we'll comment on that, and then basically I get driven home by this fucking taxi, and the worst part is I couldn't even eat my pizza, couldn't eat my wings. So in 1 hour,
because the pizza and wings got totaled with the car.
They were stuck in the car. Like it got accordioned, and it was part of the accordion now. I was devastated, man, because even going to the scrapyard, that car smelled real nice. You know what I mean? Yeah,
you'd be like, "I don't give a shit about
Take the car,
Sable.
Give me the wings.
Take the car, give me the wings. Get the jaws of life to get those fucking wings out."
And my sister, she's like, "I'm happy you're okay, but what are we going to do for food?" And so it's funny because I rotted hard, right? I lost the car, and obviously my folks got very scared when I told them about that. Everything was okay. We didn't get the food, but this woman also, her man rotted. Because how are you going to play yourself like that? You're dating a stripper. You understand the rules of engagement here. You're not supposed to be embarrassed that she's telling people that she's an exotic dancer because she's exotic dancing on you.
Yeah, well, like, shouldn't you be pumped? Right? Like, you're saying that, you know, I've got a woman here that is of a certain caliber, one would assume relatively high caliber, of being like, people pay this woman to see her take off her clothes.
Yeah, for a living.
And probably pay for a living and pay her probably quite handsomely as well. And so you're like, this is the person who for free takes off their clothes at my house. So that should actually be kind of a compliment. So he should, if anything, have been like, yo, you told, not, oh, you told him where you work? You should be like, yeah, you told him.
I'm happy you told him.
Yeah.
and let's be really real here. And for folks that are listening and ladies too, and actually who am I kidding? I mean, there's strip clubs for women too, right? So extras do take place in a strip club depending on the dancer, if you understand what I'm saying. So for some additional funds, if you were someone inclined, if you asked some questions to extend something further, they would answer. Not all of them, but some. And so this guy must know that there's a high potential that she's doing more than just dancing.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe that's why he's embarrassed. I don't know. Right? Like, was he thinking maybe like, you, now that you're out of wings, he's like, I might as well just go to Club Paradise and get some wings there and watch her.
That'd be great. She's like, listen, honey, don't worry about the wings. Wings on me. But you got to come tonight, 9 p.m. The show is starting, and it's going to blow your mind.
Do you want to go through? She's like, do you want to go through insurance? And she's like, no, just come to the club and pay me in cash.
Yeah, and actually, that's really funny. We didn't go through insurance, right? Which was great because I would have had to pay for her because there's a little bit of damage in the back. I don't understand.
You were at fault.
Oh, hard. It was all.
You were so horny for those wings that you just rammed her.
Yeah. It could have been so much worse. But yeah, we didn't go to insurance because she knew a guy at a garage that could do it for free. So again, you know, is there foul play there? I don't know, but I'm happy I saved a couple $1,000s. Also, how did my car, this fucking is basically a yacht on wheels, get accordioned and her fucking 2010 Honda Civic barely a scratch? Shocking.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that because like what wasn't there like a kind of an old like, and this is obviously probably deviating from the from the topic, but like wasn't there like a shift in materials for a while on cars? Like, because you know, if you kind of go kind of before maybe that, you said it was what, a 95 Sable?
Yeah, 93, 94.
Okay, because like wasn't like, because if you remember kind of the early 90s maybe, and definitely like the 80s and 70s and stuff like that, those fucking things were just like steel.
Yes.
Like you could just like, you could drive that into a house and it would just park right in the living room.
Yeah.
Right? Where like,
unscathed.
Then they kind of did unscathed, right? The house would just be crumpled and then the fucking, you know.
Airbag was like, it wasn't even worth it. Don't worry, we'll save it enough for another time.
I won't even deploy right now.
I don't feel like deploying.
And it's like, but then they did this shift in, I guess, this kind of like plastic carbon fiber thing or something where they became like, they're essentially cardboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's the problem with a lot of those like crazy good cars, right? Is because they're this fucking German fiberglass or whatever. You get a fucking scratch on a Beamer or an Audi. They're like, that's going to cost you $20K. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, can I just get some fucking magic eraser from Mr. Clean? And they're like, no, I got to get a special part from Unikin.
This is German.
Yeah. I got to get some special part in from fucking Hamburg that only like 17 people in the country know how to like install or whatever. And you're like, fuck you. Just give me a big boat and let me ram into as many strippers as I want unscathed.
Yeah.
And then let me eat my wings too.
Fucking hell. If only I had that steel cage, I would have had my wings. And I don't know if she'd be in a better situation, but
Well, here's a question. What kind of ride was she?
It was like a 20. Oh, well, now this was a long time ago, but it was probably like a newer Honda Civic. So not like some sexy car, but one of the more modern cars, definitely in comparison to mine.
Right. So she was doing probably pretty well.
She said 9:30. She's starting the show. So, 9:30 to 2, that's a big shift. Saturday night. It was Saturday night. She was doing big things, man.
So I guess the overall sort of message of this is that you rotted big time because, well, A, you didn't get your fucking meal, which was the foundation of this whole trip. Then your parents were like, we have no fucking car now. and then your mom was probably like, my son almost died. Sure. Then the stripper, well, she's fucked with her car and then probably late for work. And then her partner, boyfriend, whatever, is like, now I've been exposed.
Yeah, he found me out.
For who So like basically you had about 7 people included in this. And then your sister didn't even get the meal either.
Oh, that's the worst part. I feel like I let her down.
She was probably like,
why were you so late? I'm like, you don't even want to know.
She's like, listen, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. You come in and you're like, so get this. And she's like, I don't smell any wings or pizza. And you're like,
fuck, I'll be right back. I guess at the end of the day, we got to congratulate all of us because we rotted. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 11 of the Fierce Kingz podcast. Just want to thank you again for all of your support. Remember, if you want to send us a story or topic ideas for this show, hit us up on fiercekingz@gmail.com. That is the email. We're also available on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Don't be shy. And with that, we're going to close out. So, Stu, is there anything you would like to say to the listeners?
Thank you very much. And you are now not listening to the Fierce Kingz podcast.